As a senior woman traveling alone, I know the feeling of pulling into a repair shop and feeling like a target. It is the most vulnerable point in the entire breakdown process. But you are not helpless. This video is your confidence booster and cheat sheet. I'm giving you the step-by-step method for vetting a trustworthy, non-scamming mechanic. Let me just preface this to say that most mechanics are trustworthy and reputable and have no intention of taking advantage of you. There are those, though. But here's an important distinction, and don't forget this. Not all mechanics have the same knowledge and training, and it's your job to find out. You do not want to pay someone $200 an hour to learn how to fix it. You want somebody that already knows how to fix it. You're going to love this. I have learned that one of the most important things that you can do is shut up. We have a tendency to overshare, don't we? And I prefer to play dumb because they already think I'm dumb. And then I get to look at them and gauge how much they know. Set the stage. Do not act like a know-it-all. It doesn't matter if your father or your great uncle's nephew is a mechanic. They're not there with you. So be humble, because if you need to ramp it up later, then you can do that. But right now, just be humble. Decide before you get there how much you're willing to pay for a diagnosis. This is important. If you have already decided, you have the confidence to say no later. Okay, so depending on the problem you're having, your script may be a little bit different than what we're going to talk about here. But the first thing you need to establish is their diagnosis. At this point, you're going to need to decide if you should share your diagnosis. How to figure that out is in a different video. Or just share symptoms. I prefer just to share the symptoms. So remember, anytime during this whole process, if you feel it's the right time to share your diagnosis, please do. But when you ask them about their diagnosis, the first thing they're probably going to say is, I'm going to have to look at it first. Have you ever heard that? So you counter by saying, well, based on the symptoms that I'm describing, what do you think it could be? They may still not want to guess. Your next question is, what are you going to do to check, to diagnose the problem? And they really need to be able to answer this question. So be meek, because you're not trying to manipulate them, but you are protecting yourself. Okay, now we start talking about money here. Your next question is, how much is it going to cost to diagnose it? And they probably are going to say, I won't know until I look at it. And you say, what is your hourly rate? Now, don't be afraid to say no and walk away at any time here, okay? Now, it's possible that you may be able to negotiate this a little bit. Now, remember, you figured out before you got there how much you are willing to pay for the diagnosis. So you can ask them, what is your hourly rate? And if it seems to fit with what you think your diagnosis should cost, then tell them, I have X amount of dollars to pay for a diagnosis. And then, of course, shut up. If they say no, are you going to walk away or are you going to stay? You get to decide this, okay? Do not leave the cost to diagnose question open-ended. Don't do it. You must insist on an answer. Otherwise, you may be into them for like $1,000 and still not know what's wrong. I hate to say this, but you're a single woman by yourself. Just picture for a minute. What would they be saying if you were a man? Would they be treating you any differently? What has your experience been? They come back with a diagnosis. So here are your questions. These questions I have all in the description below. So you don't have to write them down right now. You can print them out later. Question number 1, when they come back with the diagnosis, you say, why do you think what's the matter? And make them be very specific when they answer that question. If they're not being specific, you know that they may not still know. Question number 2, what other possibilities could it be? They may think they know what it is, but think outside the box a little bit here, guys. What other thing could it be? And then here is the number 1 question for me in this whole thing is, have you ever worked on one of these before? You know how to fix it. I don't want to pay for somebody to learn how to fix it. Very important to remember this. You are interviewing them. Do not be afraid to say no and walk away. So if you have gotten to the point that you feel comfortable with them, and hopefully that's true, hopefully you do, you've got there, and you want to proceed to the next thing, then the next question is, how much will it cost? Now, be very careful here. Do not say, can you give me an estimate? You say, how much will it cost? Those are two very different things, okay? I have learned that for many repairs, shops use this book, and it tells them how much time it should take to fix a certain thing. And that's what they charge, whatever it says in there for how many hours. This is good for you if they go over that time, and it's not so good if they come under it. But for me, that's okay. They gave me a price, and I'm willing to pay it, so then let's do it. Now, keep this in mind. Depending on how complicated the issue is, you may have to ask these same questions more than once, and that's okay. Your goal is to walk out of there with a fixed RV and feel like you were treated fairly. But the most important repair you can make is the one that's in your head. You walked into that shop feeling like a target, but now you're leaving as a CEO. You have the knowledge, you have the questions in the description below, and you have the right to walk away. Never forget that. Remember this. The moment you ask the mechanic, have you ever worked on one of these before? You are no longer a worried customer. You're now an interviewer hiring for the most important job of the day. You are self-sufficient. You are prepared. You are safe. Now, go print out those questions, stick them in your glove box, just write them down and get back on the road, because I'll see you out there.